Oh my god, it is finally here. I have hit level 20 with every single character on Xbox. It took me long enough. This is my third time hitting level 20 on every single character. I really enjoy releasing these videos because despite the fact that it's a lot harder to make than like a regular everyday upload, the very first level 20 epic loadout video I uploaded got like 13,000 likes, which is insane. The second one got like 2,000 and something. This time around, I think we can hit 500. I believe you guys can do that pretty easily. So if you could go ahead and show me that appreciation that you normally do on these types of videos, getting this video to 500 likes would certainly do that for me. Alright, let's start off with Aquaman. In this loadout, I wanted to use as much of that gold and that red combining together to create a really royal looking look. I wanted you to know that this is the king of Atlantis. This next loadout, I guess I'm sort of going for a similar thing, but a much different take on it. We've got as much emeralds as possible, so there are 12 different emeralds on this loadout. I also really like that shoulder piece, and the wrist piece there is actually a shell or something. I don't know, it looks pretty cool though. Atrocitus looking as awesome as always. I actually haven't used this shader before in one of my level 20 epic loadout videos, or just in general, because I didn't really like the shader, but I was going through all the shaders and I was pleasantly surprised what this one ended up looking like in game. I played a couple matches with it and I thought it looked really good in motion. I wish I could show you guys that, but we don't have the time for that because I would have to show you them all in motion, and that would be a whole lot of editing for me, and these videos already take so much time. This next one, I went for a more red looking Atrocitus, which is kind of funny to say because all of the shaders for Atrocitus make him look incredibly red, but you can understand what I mean when I say very red in this particular loadout because the last one wasn't as red. This is a more dark red. I also wanted to make him look pretty bulky. Very intimidating was the look I was going for. This first loadout for Bane uses the Luchador shader, which is my favorite shader indeed for Bane. I've actually been playing a little Bane as of recent, nowhere near enough to call myself a Bane player at this point, but he's nice and fun to switch to whenever you're looking to try something out different, because I don't play a lot of grappling. He's a nice change of pace for me. And the Oppressor shader coming in clutch on this loadout. This is again one of those shaders that I didn't initially like, but after a certain period of time using the shader in action, you fall for it, man. It's really good. Moving on to Batman, my main character. I love these arm pieces. They are the Mark 11 arm pieces, and whilst I don't have the full Mark 11 loadout, and I decided not to use very much Mark 11 in this entire loadout video, I think it looks really good with this particular shader because of all of those dark red pieces coming out of both the gauntlet and the shoulder pad. And because of that reason, this is currently my primary Batman loadout. Next up, I wanted to use the tournament shader for Batman, as Batman is my main character, and I recently started using the tournament shader. I quite like this helmet with the tournament shader just because it doesn't really do much to the helmet. It's just kind of bright, glowing eyes, and then the rest of the suit is nice and gold. I did as much glowing as I could in the loadout other than the leg pieces because I didn't like the glow on the leg pieces, the particular glow that I have available. So I just kind of went for a plated gold look, and it looks pretty nice. Also, it's worth noting that the cape is gold trimmed as well, which I think looks very good. Moving on to Black Adam, looking gorgeous. Look at this, man. That silver, that purple, and I really like this accessory. I was going to say trait, which I suppose it is his trait, but it's also his accessory. I actually hadn't seen this one until I'd used it on this loadout. This is a more simple look for Black Adam. I've used this similar type of style in the past. It's just a really nice color combination, and with the right gear combination, you can really make it stand out the same way I have in this loadout. With Black Canary, I wanted to make a White Canary loadout because White Canary is one of my favorite characters on the TV shows right now, and whilst we don't have a premiere skin for the character, we can get a pretty close look right here. Again, it's not identical to what she looks like on the TV shows. In the TV show, she uses a staff, and she does not have this jacket on, but you cannot remove the jacket, unfortunately. Regardless, I think she looks pretty awesome, and a pretty close representation as to what we have on the TV shows now. Next up is a bit of a different look for Black Canary. I try to incorporate this look as often as I can because I really like that biker jacket. It looks really nice. In general, Black Canary is one of my favorite characters to customize because I think she's got really good gear. Moving on to somebody else with some awesome gear, and that's, of course, Black Manta. Look at this, man. Look at those shoulder pieces, that chest piece, the head. All of it just looks so good. And on this character, it should be somebody that I spin around to the back so you can check out that sweet, awesome jetpack. How good does that look? I love this shader. Look at this thing. Black and white is some of my favorite color combinations. Black and white and red and all that good stuff. Basically, black and white is just my favorite color combinations in these types of games. You see it with my noir shader when I play Batman because I love that black and white color combination, especially when the black is particularly dark and the white is particularly bright. This shader does a good job of that, although I would like to see some of these kind of gray areas go a little bit darker. But in general, this is roughly my favorite color combination. I think it looks really good, and if you swing around to the back and check out that jetpack, you can even see some more bright glowing white lights. Blue Beetle is up next using a shader that I don't often use, the Demon Shader. I decided to use the Demon Shader this time around just because I really like those bright red lights. One thing I will say that I don't like about this shader is that you win the game and then the mask comes off. Obviously, we all know Blue Beetle's win pose, and then you see those dark black eyes, which I don't think looks particularly good on too many characters, and Blue Beetle in particular, it's very outstanding and it just doesn't look good for the character. So in general, I try not to use this loadout, but I think when the mask is on, the same way it is in this loadout, I think it looks really good. This next loadout goes for a bit of a different look for Blue Beetle. I didn't want to use the default shader because I believe I used the default shader in the other loadout videos I've done. I just really like this helmet. At first, I never liked these types of helmets that Blue Beetle has, but I think with this shader, it looks pretty good. It's not exactly, you know, a look for Blue Beetle that you would necessarily envision, but regardless, I think it looks really nice. Moving on to Brainiac, I went for a bit more of a slim look, very minimalistic. I didn't want to put too much bulk on him. I just wanted him to be Brainiac, you know? I also really like the little goatee he's got going on. It's not actually a goatee, it's a piece of metal. I'm assuming it's a part of his suit, but it makes it look like he's got a goatee. It looks kind of cool, and the headpiece I think also looks really nice. Now this one, I did want to go bulky. Nice and big and bulky, very intimidating version of Brainiac, and I think the God Shader actually looks really good on Brainiac because the white glowing eyes looks very intimidating for Brainiac. Moving on to Captain Cold. I'm very glad I found this helmet because in the past I have said things like Captain Cold doesn't have very good helmets. It's very hard to find a good looking Captain Cold loadout, at least for me personally. This is all my opinions. Of course, if you're a Captain Cold player and you think he's got really good helmets, all the more power to you. I'm glad you like them, but in general, I'm not a huge fan of specifically the EPIC for Captain Cold's helmet, but as you can see, I found this really nice rare one, and I like this one a lot. I also think the God Shader looks pretty good on Captain Cold because you never see the white glowing eyes, so it's just basically a white and gold shader. This next loadout uses the default shader, and for good reason. The default shader for Captain Cold looks really good, and I think this loadout illustrates that pretty well. Moving on to Catwoman, a character that in the past I've kind of struggled to make good looks for, but I think we've done a pretty good job this time around. She kind of looks a little bit militaristic just because of that green and brown color combination, which normally I wouldn't like at all, but I think with a character like Catwoman, she kind of pulls it off. It looks like she's about to go run a mission, covert ops style. I don't know why she's doing a covert ops mission. She should be back in Gotham. This next loadout, I wanted to incorporate as much color as possible. Catwoman is a character you can struggle quite a lot with trying to get color into her loadouts because in general, her shaders are very dark. And for good reason, that's what the character is supposed to be, but getting a little more color in there I don't think would hurt. And I certainly hope we do get to see more shaders added in the future, as it seems we are getting more shaders with every patch, or not necessarily patch, but every big patch in between the fighter packs, we seem to get some shaders. And obviously, I hope we see some more for Catwoman that incorporate more color into her loadouts. Moving on to Cheetah, I went for a bit more of a minimalistic look with Cheetah because in the past I've said things like Cheetah's gear isn't that exciting, you can't do a lot of variation with it, and this is one of the variations that you can do. Instead of going the super tribal route with the epic gear, you can go more minimalistic and get her down to a bit more of a bare bones look. And this is another interesting direction you can take her. Again, not quite tribal, because we don't have all the headdress stuff that you can get for her, but I really like that helmet. I've always liked that helmet the first time I saw it. I love Cyborg's default shader. I don't know what it is about it. Generally, when I'm making Cyborg loadouts, I have to have a default shader because he just looks so good. And I had to go, I believe this is just the default chest or it's like a common chest or something. I had to have this one because you got the little Cyborg logo there in the middle that isn't on there with the particular epic gear pieces that I have. I know there is an epic gear piece that you can get the traditional Cyborg logo right there, but I don't have that one unlocked on Xbox anyway. I think I do have it unlocked on PlayStation though. A shader I have not used in the past and that I'm genuinely impressed with, the blue in contrast with that kind of brownish orange, which I don't necessarily like the brownish orange, but you know, I'll live with it if I get to have that really cool looking blue. Definitely the correct direction to go in with Cyborg shaders in the future. NetherRealm, if you're listening, I want more. This is actually a version of the Omega symbol chest piece that I had never seen before making this video, and when I saw it going through all my gear pieces, I was like, how have I never used this before? This looks awesome. So now I can say that I've used it, and I think it looks really good. Earlier on in this video, I said that the Demon Shader in general doesn't look necessarily good because of the dark black eyes that have to be applied to the character. But in the case of Darkseid, I think it does make him look a little bit extra intimidating. And that's the reason why we get to use the Demon Shader here, because the rest of the Demon Shader looks really good in this case, with the maroon and dark silvers making the character look, well, quite frankly, incredibly scary. Moving on to Deadshot, we're just going for a basic clean look. We've got the white helmet, the white sniper rifle, and the rest of him just kind of looks militaristic. We've got the kind of simplified wrist cannons as well. I just kind of like this Deadshot loadout. And this next one uses the default shader. I just love the default shader for Deadshot. I think the red, white, and black are some of my favorite color combinations. Again, I think I've mentioned that earlier on in this video. Only a couple times that I mentioned that white and black are my favorite color combinations, and red is just a really good color to throw into that mix. Moving on to Dr. Fate. This is a shader that I had not used in the past, and with the gear that comes along with this loadout, you can get a pretty awesome look that I did not know was possible for Dr. Fate until making this video, and I'm very happy that I discovered this because I think it looks really good. I've done looks like this in the past, and it's for a really good reason. It looks really good. I love the white, the silver, the red, the black. Again, favorite color combination. I'm sure most of you know that by now, as I have not said it 400 times in this video. So awesome looking. I was very surprised with how good this shader looked. I know it just kind of looks gray, and some people might not like that, but I wanted to go for a really simplistic Firestorm look that didn't use those traditional colors, and I think we pulled it off. I could see a lot of people disagreeing with me on this one, but I like it a lot. I know, right? We're using two God shaders back to back. Even though Firestorm has access to some of the best shaders in the game, I really like the way the God shaders look on Firestorm, and I had to use them in this loadout video. Also, can we take a second to appreciate how awesome Firestorm's gear looks? This is like a gear set, and I think it looks amazing. My boy, Barry B. Allen, with an Injustice 2 take on the Elseworld costume. I think it looks awesome. This is the loadout I use the most when I play the Flash, and it's a character I've actually been starting to use. Due to my obsession with the character, I knew I was going to have to pick him up eventually, and whilst he's still an incredibly difficult character to learn, he's a lot of fun. This is a helmet I've never used for the Flash, but as soon as I saw it, I knew I wanted to use it, and I knew I wanted to use it specifically with the God shader because of that white and black color combination along with the gold contrasting around the edges. It's actually slightly inspired by Honeybee. I didn't realize how much I love the God shader for the Flash until I saw Honeybee using it so much, because damn, doesn't that look awesome? Oh my god, it just looks so good. If you don't believe me, go use it in game. It looks awesome. Moving on to my boy Grodd. First of all, doesn't this shader look great? I'd like to imagine Grodd just has all this armor stacked up in a closet somewhere, and this is the one he pulls out when he's ready to go to war. Now this next loadout, this is his like, I'm chilling, I'm the king of Gorilla City. Did I mention I've got skulls on my shoulder? Look at those skulls. Imagine you saw someone walking down the street and they just casually had skulls on their shoulder. Like real skulls. That would be a very awkward conversation to have. All right, moving on to Green Arrow. Still don't have that hood, man. Maybe one day we will get that hood. Tyler Lansdowne promised us that we will get that hood, so I would imagine that at some point we will get that hood. Until then, I believe this is a loadout. If it's not a loadout, the next one is a loadout. This might be like partially a loadout. I'm not sure. When I say a loadout, I mean like a full gear set. It's hard to go wrong with Green Arrow, if I'm being honest. I think all of his loadouts just look phenomenal. They really nailed Green Arrow and his art style in this game. Yes, that last one was in fact a gear set. This time I am still technically using a gear set. It's one of those gear sets that you only need 2 pieces for. So I guess it's not a full gear set, but I still think it looks pretty cool. I just wanted him to be in full body armor this time around. If you saw in the last loadout, his arms were kind of bare. This time I just wanted him to be fully covered up. And obviously I had to have the Robin Hood hat because, you know, Robin Hood reasons. Green Lantern is actually my favorite character to customize in this game. Doesn't he look awesome? Look at all this stuff. The headpiece looks great, the chest piece looks great, the arm pieces look fantastic, the accessory is amazing, and that shader is actually perfect. If you're curious, the lighting effects that come off of this particular shader are blue. Does it surprise anyone that I am of course using the Raid shader because of that white, gray, and red color combination? Of course I am, because it looks awesome. Debate me about it, because this shader looks amazing. Unfortunately, I do not have the Rage chest piece yet. For people who don't know, you can get a chest piece that specifically has the Red Lantern logo on it. I do not have that unlocked yet because we only just got our Xbox, and we only just got everyone to level 20, so unfortunately we didn't get the Rage chestplate. Moving on to everyone's favorite female character, Harley Quinn. I love this shader, man. Something about the purple and the orange coming together with all these different pieces of gear. I would say I would like one of the guns to be orange and the other one to be purple, just to kind of go along with the loadout. But I don't know, maybe they tried that and it didn't look as good as you would imagine it would look. I have to imagine it looks good though, right? And moving on to my Lunatic loadout, I obviously had to have a Lunatic loadout. They recently did a gear event where you got all this stuff and it just looks good, man. Gotta rock it. One of my favorite loadouts for the Joker. Doesn't he just look innocent? He looks so innocent. Look at his socks and his shoes and his shorts. He's got a buttoned up shirt and a nice purple jacket and a cap. Ignore the blade in his hand. Everything about him otherwise just looks innocent. And then of course you get to this loadout where he's dressed up as the Batman and he's got dynamite strapped to his chest. Well, not his chest, that would be his belly. And he's got a frag grenade connected to his belt buckle. He doesn't look as innocent now, but regardless, he looks awesome. What is this shader? How did I not know about this shader? Maybe I've used it before, but I don't remember it. But I was going through all the different loadouts I wanted to make for this video, and I came across this shader. I'm like, what? This is crazy good looking. It's actually amazing I wasn't aware of this one. If I was aware, I completely forgot about it. Whenever I use this shader, you'll notice I'll use the long legs because that purple just looks so good. I will say I don't necessarily like the purple on the plants, like the accessory at the top there. Maybe that's just me. I think the purple should be on the leaves, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that looks weird. Moving on to Raiden. Oh my god, Raiden. Look at my boy. Kind of looks like Samuroid, if anybody who saw the first episode of The Flash this season. Kind of looks like that, but that's not really what I was going for. I think he just looks really cool like this. And the demon shader also looks really good when you can't see the character's eyes, and you can't see the character's eyes in this case. So I thought, why not rock it? Also, it changes the color of his lightning, and that's awesome. Moving on to a more simple look for Raiden. I really like this look. Normally when I play Raiden, I use the Black Lightning Premier skin because I'm a big fan of Black Lightning. I think he's really cool. But when I do use his gear, I try to use the most simplistic look possible because I think he looks best when simple rather than kind of all geared up like he was in the previous loadout. But regardless, I think it looks awesome no matter what you do with him because his gear is really good. Moving on to Red Hood. Unfortunately, I didn't get a ton of shaders unlocked for Red Hood in this video. I did specifically go out of my way to purchase one of them with 4,000 Source Crystals, which will obviously be the next loadout. But I think the God shader actually looks really good on Red Hood, changing the helmet to a completely different color instead of being red. In this particular case, I don't think it looks as good as it could because this helmet has that kind of undertone just underneath the what normally would be red. In this case, it's yellow. That is like pure gold in this picture. It doesn't look as good as I would like it to. There's definitely better helmets to go along with this shader, but I don't have any of them unlocked right now. But in general, I think the idea that's presented here looks really good. When I was making this video and I was coming up with the loadouts for Red Hood, I of course had to get the Kid from Crime Alley shader. And again, I spent 4,000 Source Crystals on this one because I love this shader. Also, I think these are just common pistols. I can't see them right now because of the way I do these types of videos. But they look really good. Look at the pistols. They're just really simple and basic, but I just think they look good. I also really like the gloves because they're purely red. Oh my god, I love the color combination in this loadout. My last level 20 Epic Loadouts video, I didn't have any of my favorite Robin shaders, but I did get them this time around, and look at how good they look. When I make Robin loadouts, man, it makes me want to go play Robin, and then I play Robin for like 2 minutes, and I'm like, I just like the other characters more. I don't want to play Robin anymore, but he just looks so awesome. He's just not my playstyle. I want to play him so bad though. I don't know, maybe if I played him more. And as soon as I saw this shader, I knew I had to use it because it's a bit of a different look for Robin. And I think he pulls it off really well. I like how much of the yellow actually gets applied to the gear system here. The yellow coming down to the sides, that side part where the brightest part of the yellow is on the chest piece there, that looks really good. And I really also like the gold trim around the Robin logos. I actually think this is perfect. Really good job on this shader. Normally I go for like a very witch doctor look when I make Scarecrow, but I wanted to do something different this time around. This is a more simplistic Scarecrow look. We got chains everywhere. I like the chains running up the arms. I love this hook. I think the hook looks really good. The mask looks great. Even though it's just the default mask, I think it goes together with this entire loadout very well. This next one, though, is again a bit of a different take. We've got the gas mask on there, which I always thought looked really good. And obviously the floating cape thing that he's got going on. It's kind of like a trench coat. Oh my god, I love it. I love Scarecrow's gear, man. Even just with the limited amount of epics we had in this video for Scarecrow, he looks so good, and I can't wait to unlock more gear for him, and I can't wait to see what he looks like on PC, which is coming out real soon. Oh my god, I want to play PC Injustice 2, and I want to do it right now, but it's not out yet. Here she is, Starfire, using one of my favorite shaders for her. I love red hair. Even in real life, red hair is like an awesome thing for me, and it looks really good on Starfire herself because of that combination with the gear, of course, also looking really, really nice. However, this next loadout I think looks even better despite my bias for red hair. Something about this loadout just looks really good. All the gems and emeralds around the body looks really nice. It's hard to notice, but they're actually also right there on the shoulder pad as well, and even on the top of her feet as well. Moving on to Sub-Zero, I wanted to use a loadout where it looks like he is kind of just completely ice. Obviously, he's got some skin there in his mask. You can look in pretty closely and you'll see that yes, that is in fact skin. But if you look down to his arms and even his legs, you can see that it's kind of like the ice is just taking over completely. There's no exposed skin anywhere, and it's all thanks to this shader. Without this shader, this would look nowhere near as good. That's why I always say, if you're trying to make a cool loadout for your character, start with the shader and then build from there, and that's what I did with this loadout, and I wouldn't have been able to get this result without that. This next loadout, obviously very reptile inspired. I didn't go like full in with it. I didn't try to get like an exact replica. Like I didn't pull up an image of reptile. I just used the shader and I just made a cool look for Sub-Zero. And of course, as always, it turned out really good. Supergirl is up next using her traditional look. We got the traditional skirt, the traditional top logo, and cape as well. Even the arm piece is kind of traditional other than the golden parts there. I wish I could get rid of that somehow. I'm sure there's like a common piece that gets rid of that gold, but I don't actually have it. But yes, very, very close to a traditional Supergirl look. This next one uses the Phantom Zone shader, which is a shader that looks really good, and it keeps surprising me how good it looks with particular loadouts. I really like this one. Normally I go with my traditional Supergirl costume when I do play Supergirl, but this is a nice change of pace when you're looking to switch things up. Moving on to Superman, my dude. This guy is super decked out, super bulky, and that's what I wanted. I wanted basically a base Superman, but upgraded to the full extent of the gear system, and I think we did a pretty decent job at doing that. The Superman logo looks really nice and bulky. The headpiece looks big and bulky. The legs and the torso also all look really nice and bulky. Very intimidating, very threatening, very physically imposing version of Superman. This next loadout I didn't put as much thought into. I just wanted him to look cool, really. And obviously, we all know what I'm about to say. Gray, white, silver, and red. Perfect color combination, and Superman pulls it off really well. Can we have a look at that cape? Oh yeah, look at that cape. Moving on to Swamp Thing, we did use the demon shader here. I know I've said in the past I really don't like the black eyes, and I still don't like the black eyes, but in this case, I think it looks fine on a character like Swamp Thing because he's essentially a monster anyway. And the red pus, which I've been told is like a particular type of tree mucus or something, but I'm gonna continue to refer to it as pus because I'm still not 100% sure what it is. I think it looks really good with the demon shader. This next one, I just kind of went for a burnt out, bulky tree look. And with this shader, I think you can pull it off pretty well. And look at that club. That club's got spikes in it, bro. That's cheating. Foreign object, disqualified. Finally, we are approaching our final character, Wonder Woman, with the nice gold, purple, and gray loadout. Again, I went with the shader here, and I went from the ground up, trying to create as much of that gold as possible. It stands out really nicely on the shield and the breastplate, and even the headpiece as well. Looks so good. And the final loadout for her users, of course, I had to finish off with a white, gray, and silver loadout. Again, one of my favorite color combinations. Just looks so good. And of course, with Wonder Woman, it's no exception. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. These videos take me so much longer than my average video. I have to work all day creating a video like this. So any amount of support you could show me by leaving a like on this video, leaving a comment down below, all of that is super, super appreciated. So thank you guys so much yet again for watching this video. My name has been Bilbzy, and I will see you in tomorrow's video.